Hello, everybody. Welcome to the loanofficerpodcast.com. I'm here with Adam Crosley. Adam, man, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, brother.
It's fantastic to have you here. This is going to be an incredibly valuable episode for our listeners because you've achieved some phenomenal growth in what some would consider to be a challenging market. So I can't wait to dive in with you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Can you give us a little bit of your background, tell us your story, and kind of the path that got you to where you are today and what the business looks like now?
Cool. So yeah, I got into loans in 2008. That was a wonderful time to get into business.
Nailed it.
Went up to Alaska a little bit after college. Ran dog sleds up there for a couple of years, and then came back here to my college town for a party. And this is fall of 2008. And one of my buddies was like, "You'd be really good at sales." And I'm like, people have said that before. So I had a big beard at the time. I just came back from, running dogs in the bush and up on the glaciers and stuff and working for cruise lines and shaved my beard, cut my hair, bought a suit, got this job at Yellow Book selling phone book advertising in 2008. Yeah. And that was the end of that industry.
Yep.
So, and at the time I was, I worked there for about 3 months, went through some, high-end intense training, learned a ton of things. And it just was, I was let go after 3 months. They let every new hire that they hired in the last year let go at the middle end of 2008.
Wow.
Because they were hurt. I mean, I get it as a business person now, but at the time I was like a pissed off 22, 23-year-old kid, right? Yeah. Like I just changed my entire life for you. And, why did you do this to me? Well, back when I was in Alaska, I had a lot of downtime. I was reading a lot of Robert Kiyosaki and a lot of real estate investing stuff. I was going to become a realtor. And so I thought that was the best way to, get into investing was to do that. And lo and behold, the broker that I was talking to, I had a conversation with him that ultimately changed my life. And I said, hey, like with all these people exiting mortgage, do you think people are going to start paying cash for mortgage, cash for houses? And he's like, I just don't think people save enough to do that.
Right.
And in my community, small town, Northern New York, there was maybe 300 realtors and 20 loan guys.
No way.
And in like a 3-month period, half of the mortgage guys quit.
Wow.
So I, just a still wet behind the ears young kid coming into adulthood, I was like, well, do I want to be one of 300 or one of 10 if I'm going to go into this? And without even really knowing what a mortgage was, got into mortgages of the fall of 2008 and just started cutting my teeth, trying to find good mentors. And, the rest is history, so to speak.
That is incredible. And so from very humble beginnings to today, can you give us a picture of what the team looks like, volume, that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So last year we helped 127 families.
Wow.
And this year, at the end of April, we should be right around 100 so far this year.
Wow.
So we should crest 200, 220 this year.
So you are like huge growth this year. Like that's almost double.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Adam. Congratulations.
Well, and I've done it before. So, I in 21, that was my best year. I helped 363 families.
Wow.
So that was my high
short of one a day.
I was pissed off.
Come on.
When you help that many people, but I was pissed off and I was too shy. But again, I live in a super rural market. My average price point's really low. So 363 families, I forget what the volume was, but it was like 64 million. If I was anywhere else in the world, I would have been $100 million plus producer, right?
Yep.
But I live in a very rural area. Even today, my average loan size this year is 192,000.
Wow.
So it's still very small. I'm on the very flat part of the bell curve, uh, but not the good side. Um, but so I've done that, and I've learned how to build a business. And from like 2013 to 2019, and that's when we initially met, right? Like I was building my business. I was learning how to do it all, and the unintended consequence of what I learned from having not a lot of margin on deals
Yep.
was how to scale and how to do a lot of stuff and build really good team, and how to really stretch that dollar to make it work.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact numbers, but 2019, I think that was the first time I had crossed 200 families that I had helped.
Mm-hmm.
So like when everything went to, well, I say hell initially with COVID, right? But it ended up ultimately being amazing for our industry.
Yep.
But I had already built the foundation. So then like that's how I was able to scale so much during the COVID growth years.
Yep.
Well, I already had the foundation built. I was just scale and just I already had the people, the jobs built and everything else. Then I just had to put more people in the seats, right? And then we were able to scale and grow. And anyway, so that's a little bit about what it is. So now that fell apart, and I went down to 2 employees.
Yep.
And now we're slowly starting to build back up. You've met my Peter, my systems admin sales guy.
Yep.
And he's, and I've just, if I've had any growth, it's because I put amazing people on my team.
That's amazing. So I know that there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this podcast that are going to be at that solo producer mark, cresting over 5 deals a month, 4 deals a month type of thing. And I'm hoping that their ears perked up at I already knew the system and the structure, so I can scale because I already had that in place. Can you walk me through what that is and what you're building on top of?
Cool. So, I mean, to the first point, and to anybody listening, really, right? I think going from 0 to 5 deals is hard. Because you have to learn mortgages, you have to learn sales, you have to learn a lot.
Yep.
Right. But then going from 5 to 15 deals a month is a different set of skills.
Yep.
It's about building a team and almost stepping back a little bit and letting the team do its thing. And then, going from 38 was my top line number, at our crest. I hit 38 3 times.
Wow.
And I couldn't get past 38 loans a month. But going from 15 to 38 for me, or whatever that might be, it's a different set of things to learn. But I think once you get to scale, because then it's just scale.
Yeah.
So 1 to 5, that's really just learning mortgage, learning. I jokingly say learning there's 2 G's in mortgage, like, like learning that, like LTV, just learning the absolute basics and everything else. And it's really starting to understand relationships and making sure, this is something, I learned from you, Chris, way back when, was making sure that the people that I'm calling on, making sure they're qualified enough to have the conversations with. Like, nothing wrong with this person. Like I always talk about Loretta in my market. She's this wonderful lady. I get 100% of her business.
Right.
But all I have to do is buy Girl Scout cookies from Loretta, from her daughter, once a year, and I get 100% of Loretta's business.
That's amazing.
Like I don't need to put a lot of time into that bucket because I just get that business. Whereas, other people, I really have to chase, and I have to make sure that we're going after and target marketing and trying to build relationships with agents that effectively could send me a deal or 2 a month.
Right. Yep.
And target marketing specifically to that. So, so to answer your question, 0 to 5, it's learning the relationships and figuring that out. But from 5 to 15, it's building an organizational chart and actually having some structure to your business, almost changing from a salesperson to a business person.
Yep. 100%. And so talk me through, because I know that there's a couple different schools of thought on loan processors, how many deals per LP, that sort of thing. So can you give me your philosophy on what the structure looks like?
Got it. I have 2 licensed loan partners that are amazing. One has been doing mortgage for 20 years and one's been doing mortgage for probably 12.
Wow.
They both at different points in my career were my competitors.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I brought them in, gave them a high salary. They worked at retail banks. And I jokingly say when I'm hiring people, I look for battered bankers. I look for people that have just like, yeah, it's laughing, but we have fun with it, right? And it's true. Like for an LP, I like battered bankers, people that they don't know how to hunt,
Right.
but they know there's two G's in a mortgage. They know how to do it all. That they honestly, they're better loan officers than I am. I'm just really good at getting the phone to ring.
Right. Yep.
You know, so that's what I spend all my time doing. Now that I have them, I like they meet with most of my clients. I call the client afterwards. They ask, "Hey, this was good. Did you want to talk to Adam?" 95% of the time, nobody wants to talk to me because they don't want to get a mortgage with Adam. They want to get a mortgage.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Right there, actually, like there's a lot of lesson in that. Like
mm-hmm.
when people call, they don't want to get a mortgage with Adam. They want to get a mortgage. Period.
Yep. Oh, it's like, so I just had this conversation with a top producer just like you, and we were having the conversation about what's more valuable, to let somebody go to voicemail and call them back yourself in 20 minutes, or to have AI pick up the phone instantly.
Mm.
You know, it's an interesting question, and I think on an inbound call, having AI pick up and deliver the service experience as well as it can, and if it can't, book an appointment, rather than having that person wait and potentially losing them to shopping or where
Yeah, remember
that situation.
Well, and a lot of times people don't leave voicemails anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Right?
They just want the result.
They just want the result. They like you have to capture the lead when it comes in.
Yeah. Now, are you taking the original loan application?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Not 100% of the time.
Yep. Perfect. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, the one question that I asked,
honestly, since I hired my second licensed loan partner, again, probably only 10 or 15% of the time.
Wow, that's fantastic. That must feel awesome.
Yes and no. I mean, it's that scale, right? Like, and I had this identity crisis 2 months ago. I was like, I left for 2 weeks. I took my first vacation in years, and I came back, and I'm like, I don't know any of the clients anymore because it takes us about 5 weeks to close a loan. I was gone for 2, and I came back, and it was I call my updates on Tuesday, so they just did it the week I got back as I was juggling. So I went 3 weeks basically without talking to my clients, and then I'm like, and they're briefing me on the deals. I don't even know these people's names.
Wow.
Like, and we closed like 17 loans that month. It's like, okay, well, so do I really need to know their names? So I started asking myself other questions and different things. And, at every conversation, the team always asks, do you want to talk to Adam? You want to get on his calendar? Like they're my clients, but but if they're licensed LOAs rather, they can do everything that I can do.
Yep. And you're providing the system and the process and the structure and the repeatability and the accountability, which is, well, that's the difference between a processor and an owner.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you're going to help a lot of people and get a great result, you have to have good systems and structure so that it's repeatable.
Yep. I
mean, McDonald's doesn't make the best hamburger, but they sell the most hamburgers, right? Like my 12-year-old could make a better hamburger than McDonald's does, but they sell the most because they're a marketing company.
That's right.
That happens to sell the widget they sell is burgers.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that is so true. And so, where do you get the majority of the business from?
I would about 90%. I think it's like 87% of our business is realtor or past client.
That's amazing. So referral based.
Yeah, referral based.
Excellent. I'm always interested. What brings in the other 13%?
A lot of like we're on Google, we're on different things. I do a lot with business owners and chamber, in our local chamber, and we get, I call them VIPs, other business owners, different things.
Yep.
I spend 1 day a week calling on those types of people. But primarily our business is, and we're really this last 12 months since I brought Peter on the team, I had data going back to 2014 And like before I got his position approved, he was like kind of waiting in the wings, and he just like studied all my leads and all my data, and he came back with so much. Like this was a statistic that he found on my business collectively over the last decade, which was awesome. If a realtor referred me a deal, there was a 21% chance it closed.
Wow.
Lead to close. If a past client referred me a deal, there was a 63% chance it went from lead to close.
Whoa.
Okay, cool. Why am I not spending more dollars on my past clients, marketing to my past clients?
Yes. So
but I got thinking about it, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. Like if you're a realtor, like if you're a customer and your realtor says, hey, go use Adam.
Yep.
Well, you probably just met that realtor, or, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, whatever, but like maybe, but like whatever. But if it's like, if your dad says, hey, go use Adam, you don't question dad.
Yep.
Like it is what it is. So if you get in tight with the past clients, and the past clients have good relationships in their sphere, then then I think that's why it closes so much higher. But I was like, I thought it might be higher, but I had no idea it was triple.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have that same guess, but don't really have the data. The fact that you have the data is just absolutely incredible. So as a business owner, you get that knowledge, you get that data. What did you do next in order to go get more referrals from the database?
So we went out and we're leveraging Home IQ.
Yeah. Okay.
The number one thing we've implemented. Well, I mean, we've implemented a lot of things, but but Home IQ is probably for that specific thing.
Yep.
That's probably been the best. So we are through your system, we're using the database activator in there, one, but two, we also are sending this mailer every 3 weeks to them. So they're getting stuff from us directly all the time.
Yep. That's awesome. And so that tool is giving like their home value report, equity report.
Yeah, so like HomeBot, Home IQ, same type of thing.
Okay.
The pricing worked better for us at scale to go with Home IQ than HomeBot.
Yep.
I test drove them both. I really liked them both. I liked HomeBot a little bit better, but Home IQ, the pricing on it for us, because I've had, I have, I don't know, maybe 2,200 pieces of data for, past clients.
Yep.
Like Home IQ was like just a flat rate,
right?
Where HomeBot was like every 500 was an additional cost.
Yep. Okay.
And so the cool part is now I've got like my top 5 realtors, their database is in it. So whether they closed with me or not, they're also getting a piece of a mailer from Adam as well, which is also pretty sweet.
Wow, that's awesome. And we're talking like snail mail, like real physical in the mail.
No, this is digital mail.
Okay.
Email. Yeah.
Awesome. That's scalable. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so the mail goes out. Do you follow that up with phone calls?
Yes.
Awesome.
So we're calling our past clients at least 3 times a year.
Nice. Okay.
Try to do 4, but last year we only got to 3. Just there's the things you're supposed to do, and then life happens, right? It's like
well, I can tell you 3 times a year outperforms a lot of people in the mortgage industry, but you've got the data to back the activity, which is absolutely fantastic. So, Adam, thank you for being so generous with your time. Can I have a couple more questions?
Oh my God, yeah.
So you brought Peter into the business. Peter was on the show. His specific role is building and nurturing deep realtor referral relationships. Can you talk me through how you made that decision and what that looks like?
So let me rewind the tape on Peter.
Okay.
To bring you to that question and how I got it.
Okay.
So a good friend of mine's, a realtor partner, his wife was in this MLM, multi-level marketing type thing. And her MLM used Peter as a coach.
Oh, no way.
Way back when. So Peter's backstory is Peter, he grew up at Keller Williams, ended up becoming a bold coach for Keller Williams, got to know Joe Williams really well of Keller Williams, and like was tight with him. and then help them develop the Bold program, coaching there. But he was on the road so much
Yep.
that he ended up, he just had a child and he wanted to be home more.
Ah,
So
nice.
couldn't really do that. Didn't want to get into real estate, back into real estate. Loved the coaching. Went out and started his own coaching platform,
Wow.
primarily to realtors and MLMs. And I'm looking for, I don't see it here. I must be in the home office. But Peter wrote a book called Active Choices.
Huh.
And I don't really, I listen to more books than I read. I like to be talked to like to a child as I'm driving around or whatever. And anyway, Peter had just launched the book. It had been live for like a few days, and I just happened to get it. And it was like chapter 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 6, 7, 8, or something like that. So like there was the Audible was messed up. And I was like, huh, weird. So I look Peter Passetto up on Facebook, and I've got like 100 mutual friends with him from different coaching groups across the country that like realtors and lenders. And so I just reach out to the guy, have a great conversation. I hire him as a coach for 6 months.
Okay.
We become friends, and we parted ways coaching wise, but we just stayed good friends. My oldest son and his son are the exact same age. He came up to my camp up in the Adirondacks, had a great time. We just became very good friends. He wanted to start this CRM business and kind of do something different. So I invested in him, and he reached out to me about a year ago, and it was like, dude, we're doing okay, but I never hit the moonshot that I thought I was going to do, based on Go High Level. And, anyway, but just whatever. And I kind of said, well, what are you looking for? And he's like, I want to do what I'm doing now, but inside of a company, and then maybe some sales as well. And I said, you hired, and then I go to get corporate approval. They're like, well, what's his job? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but he's the right. Well, how much, there's just like, so, and everybody at my corporate office was like, I don't get it. But
Right.
It's your business, it's your P&L, do what you want to do. And it took about 6 months where I really wasn't sure what his job was. Like the first project was study my data, figure out what it is. And then it's kind of evolved as we've adopted your system. He knows that so well because he used to run a very similar platform. So it's like, he's like if your system's a Porsche, he's my Porsche mechanic, right?
Yep.
I look at I'm like, I don't know, but he can get in there and he can tweak it and do all sorts of wild things.
Yep.
And he's a super high level sales guy.
Yep.
He knows nothing about mortgage, but I can put a list in front of him, and he's one of the best dialers I've ever had because he's such a high level sales guy. So it's this really blended role, but Peter has been one of the single best additions to my team. And he's like my own little internal accountability partner because he used to be my coach.
Yep.
He just knows me, and sometimes I get overwhelmed.
Yep.
And I almost naturally, when you have that overwhelm, it's like he kind of gently pushes me aside and just is kicks some ass, and it just helps me break my own interior glass ceilings.
Oh man, that's so valuable. And what he has built inside the loan officer CRM is absolutely fantastic. The realtor outreach, and now that we have unlimited agent data in there, I think you guys are just gonna tear it up with that.
When he's building these courses and everything else, I've always taught a lot. I've always done one-to-many classes, but I've always done it in person.
Yep.
And the first time he had me do a class on Zoom, and literally all I can see is the PowerPoint, dude, it was a terrible class because I'm always asking questions, I'm talking with my hands, and I couldn't see the group of people I was talking to.
Yep.
And it was so, I ended up, after doing it live once, I did it about 5 more times at home in a mirror just to myself so that I could change the way that I present digitally.
Yep.
Because it's way different. I mean, it's similar, but it different in person and gestures and how I ask questions to the audience. And there's just a lot of little minute things that I had to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so interesting because you're absolutely right. A small group in a room, speaking to realtors and speaking to realtors on a webinar, totally different experience.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So now you're using classes, and what's really happening is you're doing a whole bunch of like bulk invites at scale to invite real estate agents to classes, teaching classes, and then following up from the classes. Is that right?
Yep.
That's fantastic. And how?
So we have our account pyramid of our top agents that we use.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite tools. So these are the agents that we close, one deal a month with. These are the agents we close at least 4 deals a month with. These are the agents we close at least 1 deal a year with. And then these are the people that we're prospecting.
Okay.
So that way my internal team knows who to give the best service to. Not to say not give bad service to somebody, but like if they're the higher level, they go up the pyramid, make sure you take extra care of them.
That's right.
If a lead comes in and we have a lead from our top person or somebody we're prospecting, always make sure it's the top person first.
That makes sense. Yep.
Because we want to build and keep our business with our best people, right?
Yep.
So so that's very a large part of it. But we're doing a lunch and learn we're doing an in-person happy hour in 2 weeks, and in 3 weeks we're doing a lunch and learn.
Nice.
So I do a lot of events. I love events because, well, this is one thing I teach is like, for events, what's the least important part of having an event?
Least important?
The least important.
I mean, venue?
The event itself.
Huh.
Because I mean, it's like here's the thing, but the event is a sales tool for me.
Right.
So I get to go really wide before the event, and then I get to go really deep after the event.
Huh.
So I go wide, I cast a huge net, have the actual event, and then the people that are at the event that are producers, that everything else, then I follow up with them afterwards and be like, Chris, dude, it was so good to see you at the event yesterday. Like, I would love to grab a cup of coffee with you. I'd love to, even if it's on Zoom, let's just get together because I really want to learn a little bit more about Chris.
Yep.
And that's how I've used those. And now we have this course series where they can come on to one, but also see the last 5 classes that we've taught.
Yep. Yeah. That's amazing. Are you doing an event a month?
So we typically do at least 1 happy hour and at least 1 lunch learn a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2 events a month.
Amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So being in the place where you're at right now, like so many loan officers would love to be at the point where they feel like, hey, I got my database marketing dialed in or locked in. And I know we all feel like we can have room for improvement, but 3 calls a year and you're sending the monthly sequence from the CRM out to the database, like you're on point. You've got 2 events a month for qualified real estate agents. Where do you see yourself making that one strategic move? Like, what's the one thing that Adam can do that's really going to move the needle to get to that next level?
It's a great question. I need to define what the next level looks like.
Huh.
I think.
Can't hit a target you can't see.
Yeah. But when I came to Crown, so I left Cross Country, huge mortgage company, wonderful mortgage company. The primary reason I did was because this was when I was at Cross Country, I joined Cross Country when they were about a $12 billion company.
Okay.
And I was really tight with some of the people there. And then when I left, they were like 87 billion or something like that.
Okay.
So I was close enough to watch the growth, but not close enough to get paid from it.
Got it. Okay.
And when things started to fall apart and I had just some issues there, I was looking around and, I being a producer, you get, courted.
Of course. Phone calls, they're happening.
The reason I came to this small mortgage company, less than $1 billion, is they needed help. They had a lot of, let's say, B players. They had a lot of $5 to $10 million guys that couldn't get to 20.
Yep.
So I came in and I started an internal coaching program.
No way.
And yes, I run our internal coaching program. I spend 1 day a week just coaching other people.
Really?
And like my tithe, and like I get to help other people grow their business. And it's literally one of the most rewarding things I've been able to do. And so I ask you that, like what's the next level for Adam? Is I really love helping others do it, and being the guy that's grown his whole business and everything else. Like, I don't know if I want to be $100 million producer. You
Yeah.
know, I really think, like, what does Adam want? Like, I want more other people to succeed.
Wow.
And so I need to define what that next level looks like. But dude, if I can do 200 loans a year, around, again, 200,000, and be a $40 million producer,
Yeah.
that covers my bills. I can buy real estate. I can do everything. Like, I made 8-year-old Adam very proud. You know, like, like
I can go to the gas station, get whatever I want.
like 8-year-old Adam is kicking nuts. You know, like, but but yeah, I think you can, and I would love to be able to help other people along on their journey.
Yeah.
And I don't quite know what that looks like. I haven't quite defined that. Um, but I'm going to spend some time and think about that, brother. I really appreciate that, because that's where my brain goes to instantly, is like, I don't know how much more I really want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say I don't want to grow anymore, but I think I want to grow differently.
Yeah. Interesting. So I had a really, really, really smart guy, not quite at the billionaire level, but definitely is going to hit it. And we had a similar conversation, and he said something to me. He said, everybody starts as an entrepreneur doing, and then you evolve at some point into an owner, helping people to do the thing that you've done. And then if you're lucky enough, you eventually get to become a leader that leads people on the same path that you've been down. And it's like this, watching you reach that transition level of leadership within, I can take the same Adam Crosley mortgage DNA and I can put that into 50 different locations and 50 different people and 50 different success stories.
Yeah.
Doing it yourself is amazing. Watching 50 other people do it, boy,
Yeah.
that's got to be a pretty big thrill too.
Like, my number one student, I've been working with him for about 2 years now, and he went from 15 million, and he'll do 60 this year.
Yeah. See? Wow. That's cool.
My average loan size is 200,000. I either need to draw a bigger circle and help people out in other areas, or help a shitload of people. If I can help somebody else that their average loan size is 500,000 or 600,000, like, they can scale. Like, I changed his family tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think you could cast a wider net by helping others. And it's with the old Zig Ziglar quote, right? Like, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get everything you want.
Yeah, that is so true.
And
well,
it's way more rewarding too.
Absolutely it is. Yeah. Adam, thank you for being so generous with your time. I love every time we get to chat. I sincerely appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Cool. Thank you so much for having me on.
If people want to learn more about you or reach out, or where do people go to get more information?
2 sites, adamapproves.com.
Nice.
And my personal cell phone, if everybody wants to give me a call or have a question or anything, is 518-578-3160. 518-578-3160.
Excellent. That is fantastic. And we will have that in the show notes for everybody. And
cool.
Adam, thanks again for being on the show. And for all of our listeners, don't forget, hit us with a like, a subscribe, and a share on social media. And we will see you in the next episode.